Harrison, CEO, Paul Skira, our CTO, and also our business development. Today we're here to introduce Traken Technologies. I work for a beer distributor here in Arizona. Every year I do about 2,500 visits to convenience stores every year for the past 4 years. Every time I'm in these stores, or not every time, but a lot of times when I'm in these stores, I'm witnessing and hearing about beer runs. Beer runs, beer runs, beer runs. Crimes based on beer runs. Police responses to beer runs. So that's what I'm here to talk about. One day, specifically, I was in 7 accounts, and every single account, while I was there, had a beer run happen. So on the last account, this is the very defining moment, I walk into the last account, and as I'm walking in, the guy running out with a couple of 30 packs, I held the door, didn't realize what I was holding the door for. Okay, you can see where this is going. It happens a lot. So when I get into the store, I'm frustrated. It's been the 7th store I was in that day, and they'd all had beer runs. It was very frustrating. Manager's frustrated. The corporation's frustrated. It was all the same corporation, by the way. And we start talking to the manager, and the manager asked me, he had very conversations with me before. He knew my past about working with technology and startups. So he asked me just very simply, is there anything you guys have or technology-based that could help us with the solution? So that birthed Traken Technologies. So if you didn't know, this is the market size. Beer theft, alcohol-related beer theft, or alcohol-related products accounts for about $2 billion nationally every year. In that $2 billion, the theft that's associated with that accounts for about 5,000 underage alcohol-related incidents or deaths. That number accompanied with the $5 billion for law enforcement, first responders, all associated to a big $5 billion. So currently right now there's only a couple of ways to deal with it that people are doing. So they're either using an unsecured area or they're using it in locks. So in an unsecured area, it's obviously the very predominant reasons. It's open to anybody, minors, would-be thieves, or anybody else who would like to go inside the beer cooler. So it's not very effective. It reduces employee productivity in a sense that they're always, every time I'm in the store, they're always neglecting customer service because they're focused on who's in the beer cooler, how long have they been there, and what are they going to do when they leave? Are they going to run out the front door, or are they going to actually come pay for what they're getting out of the cooler? It also leads to unsafe responses. What I mean by that is when someone runs out the door, some patron or some employee could have the goodwill to stand in front of them, get hurt somehow, or inadvertently hurt the person stealing and cause an even worse situation. So that wasn't working. So they started locking, using an actual padlock and chain to lock these doors and prevent people from getting in without having permission, i.e. give your ID up here, take a key, unlock, something like that. So the problem with that is they were losing keys, so in the middle of the day they couldn't get any beer because the chains were on, and they had to get bolt cutters, cut them off, or find a new key. Long story short, it's a bad situation. On top of that, the chains and locks themselves bouncing on the door, people pulling on them, it causes damage, and the doors in these convenience stores are up about $1,000 to replace them. So with this, we introduced, oh sorry, I forgot about this. These are what they're currently using. These are a couple different versions of what they're using right now, and this is where we came up with the Traken solution. So we call it Hops Lock, and what it features is IPSI, we call it, Identification Processing Customer Interface. It's a very fancy way of using an ID scanner with a secure mobile cloud network to grant or deny access to beer coolers. That's the simplicity of it, and that is that. Paul is going to go over financials and the technology behind Hops Lock.
All right, thank you very much. You know, I think when we look at the core, technology behind our system is the secured multi-cloud. That is the IP that we license through Arizona State University. It's a cloud-based protocol. It's a handset. It's one of the only, technologies out there that allows you to secure the data from the handset to the cloud. So we're really careful about getting people's IDs, what to do with it. So when we look at that with the combination of the Hops Lock is kind of our own invention, how we had these parts where we can put them inside convenience stores relatively quickly. We don't have to retrofit them. Everything is wireless based, so everything we're working on is a very good mobile solution. So what I want to show you really quickly is kind of like a diagram of our technology, of our hardware, how everything's interconnected. When you go ahead and look at it, everything's driven by an interactive touch display, user-friendly. You know, we request your ID, we can push you information, we can give you coupons, and everything else is kind of connected within this ecosystem. So when we look at the solution is we really talk to store owners. For us, when I say customers, those are the convenience store owners. We really listened, we really wanted to hear their pain points. We really wanted to develop a system that meets their needs because the number one thing up there is prevent theft. When you go back to that $2 billion numbers, that's a substantial loss. So when we looked at the system, we broke it up in this, different areas, and for us, store revenue is priority number one. We want to reduce theft, we want to eliminate theft, and really help their bottom lines. Another thing which we talked about was employee productivity. You wouldn't believe the thousands of hours that go into filling out police reports, taking affidavits, filling out the form, the amount of revenue that's lost for that. So with the reduction of theft, then we have an increase with the productivity. The other thing is when we look at the end customer benefits, those are our clients' customers. We understand every time a new technology comes out, there's a great apprehension of using it. You know, is it easy to use? Is it easy to understand? And for us, as we followed along what you have with your smartphones, everything is touchscreen driven, swipe and go. You don't have to read a lot of directions, swipe your ID, you get access. And then what we thought is to get customers to really accept this, we are working on a campaign to incentivize them, give them rebates, give them coupons, so they really like the system, they like using the system, because it's critical for us, because if you don't like using it, then you're not going to want the system. And then the other thing for us is making sure that everything is automated. So you as a clerk, you don't have to chain anything, you don't have to set everything. Everything is set for automatic. So when the access is open, when you lock it down. The other thing too is, which is very important, is visibility. I mean, how many of you, with your home security systems, do you put that little shield, ADT, outside on your front lawn and that? So for us is understanding that our Traken shield tells you that your place is secured. And then the other thing which we talk about too is the greater good, the social responsibility, making sure that we really impact this underage access. Because when we looked at the statistics, most of the underage access comes through stores where they use fake IDs, where they do beer runs. So we can stop it at that point of purchase or point of theft. We think that we will make a gigantic impact on underage access. Of course, reducing crime and other alcohol-related incidents. So this is what we're talking about now, is the opportunity. How many of you realize there's 148,000 convenience stores in the U.S.? So when we look at that number, it's staggering. And what we really want to focus on are really the large-scale chains right now. So initial rollout for us is focus on the big players, because those are the ones that are going to need the data, the aggregate data, being able to connect that system. So when you look at that, I still can't believe 148,000 convenience stores. So when you look at this, there are one or two other players within our space, but when you look at our kind of footprint, our options, we talk to the customer. We decide our customer are the convenience stores. We wanted to know what works with them, what works with their current footprint, and what's really their end user, the patrons, would want. So that's kind of just a quick comparison between us and our current competitor. And it's very critical for us to understand that. Because if you don't know your customer, if you don't know their customers, it's very difficult to get product, acceptance. So this is kind of the composition of the team. You met Will, myself, Josh, Patrick, Kyle, Mark, and DJ. He's the inventor of the Moby Cloud. Brilliant faculty member here at ASU. He won for HP Innovator of the Year in 2012. So not only are we licensing his technology, we're working with them to drive the technology within the space. So what we wanted to show you right here was a pricing model. We work, again, with the convenience stores who are our customers, looking at how much they lose in terms of theft. And we, through analysis and computation, you could say on average about $50,000 a year in beer theft and alcohol theft. So when we looked at the unique composition of our system, being able to sit there and have a price point that works for them allows them to reduce the theft, pay for their system. I mean, we're running through our numbers now. A half year of use will pay for the system. So we noticed some of the 3 areas. When we look at the ultimate, we're really not here to talk about the next generation of products. But when you look at front-facing cameras, being able to do facial recognition, other composites. So when we look at our whole ecosystem, this is the initial rollout, but building around the Mobi Cloud, there's so much more we can do with this infrastructure. But when we look at our product roadmap, we want to sit there and put it with respect from when we started here at Furnace. You know, we did our pitch last fall, we were accepted, it's great, we're bringing jobs to Arizona, we're licensing cutting edge technology, and this kind of brings you up to date on where we are today and where we're going. And for us, it's been very successful. We hit all of our milestones. The first one is a hardware development. We successfully put the prototypes, the locking mechanism, the cooler door, everything else together. Part 2 is we just finished up on incorporating the software architect for the device and in the cloud system. And soon we're in current negotiations to put it out in our pilot stores. So we're talking about 10 options right now that we hope to close within the next 30 days. And then after that, our very conservative goals is to have 100 stores by the end of this year. And then next year in Q1, we're going to roll out version 2.0 and keep scaling the product. So when we look at the product roadmap, this is the most critical thing which we talk about next, the projections. So when you look at this, we said about 148,000 stores. So for us, if we can get around 10%, less than 10% in 5 years, very conservative, very doable numbers. And for us is when you look at that, the end of it, 2013, 100 stores only, 2014, 500 stores. And you see as it progresses to 2017 is when we really scale. So when we look at the value-added proposition too is, right now as we have the technology built, we're proving it, it's going in the field, and we look at that trajectory is, you know, we feel very confident this is one sector of the product, that right now we hit all the milestones. And trying to look at that last number, I think it's all 5 years is 59 million. So we're very excited about that, and this is just one product line. So when we look at this, here's our opportunity. When we talk about opportunity, we really want to have someone to be involved in this and help us hit our next milestone, which is the 100 units. So for us to sit there and have the equipment, put it in the store, set up the contracts, and hit that milestone, we really believe this will catapult us to greater success quickly. And one of the things that if you like to see the technology, if you see that little beer cooler over there, we stocked it with beer. So if you swipe your ID, you can go in there, you can see the system. We have the back end, help yourself to a beer, right?
Absolutely. Come have a beer with us.
And that's non-Furnace money. We paid for it from our own pocket. So that's just kind of an overview. We didn't get into the other areas, which if you notice on the side of our cooler, it says retail, healthcare, financial. When we look at the Mobi Cloud application, we think in healthcare it's going to revolutionize the way you have connected devices, tablet devices for billing and reporting. And then the other areas is financial. You know, pretty soon when you want to borrow money, you'll just say to your friend, hey, you got $10? And then you'll just click your device, you'll connect your device together, and you'll have the money. So again, we're Traken Tech. We appreciate everyone coming out. We appreciate to the Commerce Authority, the team from Furnace. This has been a wonderful experience. And like I always like to end up is you saw our revenue and the beer's over there. Thank you.